It was still dark when Ethan woke to the sound of rain against the window, that steady, whispering kind of rain that never seemed to stop in Seattle. He glanced at the clock, 5:47 a.m. The room was cold, gray, and still. Beside him, the other side of the bed was empty, the sheets already cool. That wasn't unusual at first. His wife, Claire, sometimes got up early for her morning jog before work. But lately, she hadn't been jogging much. Ethan sat up slowly, listening. The apartment felt different, quiet, but not the peaceful kind of quiet. It was the silence that carried something unspoken. He rubbed his eyes and noticed Claire's phone wasn't on the nightstand. Her running shoes weren't by the door either. He moved to the window. Below, the narrow street shimmered under the rain, empty except for the dull yellow reflection of the streetlight. Then, faintly, he saw a car. A black Lexus idling a few houses down. The headlights were off, but the taillights glowed red in the fog. For a moment, Ethan thought he saw her, Claire, stepping into the passenger side. The silhouette was unmistakable, her slim figure, her hair tied in that loose bun she always wore when she didn't want to be noticed. Then the car drove away. Ethan stood motionless, his hand against the cold glass, his breath fogging it slightly. He told himself it could have been anyone. But deep down, something inside him already knew. Something was breaking. Ethan and Claire had been married for 9 years. They met at the University of Washington. He studied architecture, she was majoring in psychology. They'd built a quiet life together, a modest apartment overlooking Lake Union, a rescue dog named Cooper, Sunday mornings at Pike Place Market, and the usual mix of laughter, bills, and routines that marriage brings. But lately, Claire had changed. She'd grown distant, guarded. Her laughter, once effortless, now felt rehearsed. She'd started spending long hours at work, her phone always face down, her explanations always half-formed. Ethan tried to convince himself it was just stress. She worked in HR for a tech company, long hours, difficult people. But every time she came home, there was a faint perfume that didn't belong to her usual scent. A more expensive one, sharp and musky. And then there were the nights when she didn't come home at all. He'd wake to an empty bed, check his phone, and see a simple text. Working late. Don't wait up. No emojis. No warmth. Just that. Ethan wasn't the jealous type. But silence, that's what eats you alive. It fills your mind, makes you imagine things you don't want to. One night, while Claire was in the shower, her phone buzzed. A message flashed across the screen before it locked. Can't stop thinking about you. Last night was unreal. The sender's name was saved as S. Ethan froze. His pulse quickened, and the world seemed to narrow. He didn't touch the phone, he couldn't. But the moment seared into him like fire. When Claire stepped out, wrapped in her towel, humming softly, he smiled. Pretended everything was fine. Who's texting you at midnight? He asked casually. She paused for a moment too long. Oh, just Sophie from work, she said lightly. We're planning an off-site thing. He nodded, smiled, but something in his chest tightened. That night, he didn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the rain. Days turned into weeks. Ethan started paying attention, small details, quiet clues. Claire's perfume changed. Her underwear changed. Her schedule changed. But what struck him most was her smile. It wasn't for him anymore. He started following her, not out of anger, but out of need. The kind of need that comes when you feel your world slipping away. One Thursday night, he parked a few blocks from her office building. At 9:30, she emerged, not alone. A man was with her. Tall, clean-cut, mid-30s, wearing a navy suit and an easy confidence that made Ethan's stomach turn. They laughed, too close, too comfortable. Ethan watched as they crossed to the same black Lexus he'd seen that morning weeks ago. The man opened the door for her. She touched his arm, a small, tender gesture that Ethan knew too well. The car pulled away, leaving Ethan standing in the rain, his heart breaking quietly inside him. He didn't confront her right away. Instead, he watched, gathered, waited. The architect in him needed structure, even for destruction. He started documenting times, places, photos. He hired a private investigator, a quiet man named Ron who worked out of an office behind a pawn shop in Ballard. Within a week, Ron had everything. Claire was seeing Samuel Green, her company's regional director. Married, 2 kids, wealthy. The report included pictures, grainy but clear enough, Claire and Samuel holding hands at a hotel lobby in Bellevue. Claire leaning against his chest at a coffee shop. Claire kissing him in his car. Ethan closed the folder slowly, his hands trembling. That night, when Claire came home, she found him sitting at the table. 2 glasses of wine. Candlelight. He smiled like nothing was wrong. "How was work?" he asked. She hesitated, studying his face. "Long day. Just meetings." He nodded, poured her wine. "You deserve a break." They ate in silence. The rain whispered outside. And when she finally went to bed, Ethan stayed at the table, staring at her half-empty glass. It happened 2 nights later. Ethan couldn't hold it in anymore. He waited until she got home, until she hung up her coat, until the sound of her heels stopped in the hallway. "Where were you?" he asked. She blinked. "Work." "Try again." Her face hardened. "Ethan, not tonight, okay?" He stepped closer. "I know about him. About Samuel Green. I know everything." Her breath caught. The color drained from her face. "Who told you that?" "I saw you," he said quietly. "I have pictures." For a long moment, neither spoke. Then she sighed, almost tiredly. "Ethan. I didn't mean for this to happen." He laughed, bitterly. "That's what everyone says." "It's not that simple," she said, voice trembling. "You stopped seeing me. You stopped caring. I felt invisible." He shook his head. "So you made yourself visible to someone else." Tears welled in her eyes, but he didn't move closer. The distance between them felt like an ocean. "I'm sorry," she whispered. He stared at her, then said softly, "No. You're not. Not yet." Ethan moved out 2 days later. Claire didn't stop him. Seattle kept raining, as if the sky itself wanted to wash everything away. He filed for divorce quietly. No yelling, no drama. Just signatures and silence. A few weeks later, Claire called. "Can we talk?" she asked. They met at a coffee shop downtown. She looked smaller somehow, tired, regretful. "I made a mistake," she said. "I ended things with him. I want to fix this." Ethan looked at her for a long time. Then he slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside were copies of the photos, the ones from the investigator. But there was something else too, a letter from Samuel's wife. It turned out she'd received the same evidence, from Ethan. Claire's eyes widened as she realized. You told her?" He nodded. "She deserved to know. Just like I did." Tears fell down her cheeks. "Ethan, please." But he stood up, his voice calm, final. "You broke something that doesn't get fixed. Goodbye, Claire." He walked out into the rain. Months later, Ethan stood by the waterfront, watching ferries drift through the gray mist. He'd started rebuilding, piece by piece. Claire had moved away. Rumor was, Samuel's marriage ended too. Ethan didn't hate her anymore. The anger had burned itself out, leaving only a quiet emptiness, and maybe, somewhere deep inside, a strange kind of peace. He looked up at the sky, felt the drizzle against his face, and finally smiled. Because sometimes, the rain doesn't just fall, it cleanses.